Trees along the islands in Municipal.
Awesome. I hope it's not distracting of ourselves on screen. But I'm going to start the live and it's going to go to the planning committee upstairs, which means we can get started. So first things first, welcome everybody. Thank you guys for coming back and welcome Duncan.
Yes.
Duncan, would you want to introduce yourself? I'm sure I think you met everybody here.
During the selection process, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to come to the earlier meeting. I lived in Albany for years now, was originally here, and worked at WNC and
Awesome. Welcome. So just to get started, I wanted to provide some updates on my I'm sorry for the multitude of emails. Next time I'll try to condense it all into one, so I'll send it in the inbox. But I was able to get different bylaws from different boards and commissions for you guys to refer to during what I think this is going to look like a little bit more than our last one. As when we get the framework for this, for relatively simple bylaws together, I think it'll be easier for us to move forwards with the parts of this that are like excited, right? So that was the primary goal for me. In addition, we were able to create a Facebook for the task force. This is where the live stream on top of the specific YouTube channel for Albany and Common Council boards and commissions. It's going to be live streamed simultaneously to here and Facebook. And then you will be able to use the Facebook as a platform for the competition or any other community engagement efforts that you may want to undertake. Generally for the Common Council, we use our Facebook for posting minutes and agendas as well. But that's something that could be a conversation as far as like responsibilities for leadership positions. That may be the responsibility for secretary, chair, vice chair. In the same vein, you may also opt to choose to make an Instagram. Unlike websites and things of that nature, social media is kind of under process where you were able to allow you to do that. So that's a conversation that you may want for now. Additionally, we're making a logo for the task force, so as our other bodies. Needing to invite a member from IT. I know that we had quite a few questions about how the website would look like and how we would be able to interact with the public. And I think that they may be able to better answer those questions than I. So those are my preliminary updates. Are there any burning questions, comments, concerns that we would want to start off with before looking at this?
I think that's a great idea. I think one of the most important parts of this is to communicate with people efficiently, and I think that's a great idea.
Great, I'm glad. And before we get into my list, I know that we haven't fully defined the roles, but if Ben? Nice to meet you, Elizabeth. Oh, nice to see you again.
Thank you.
These are bylaws and reference, and then this is the main packet that I email me. But yeah, I was just going over updates from our last meeting. I know that we chatted on the phone about it. And I think that the best way for us to get started with this is just kind of head first. Did anybody have a chance to review the bylaws prior to?
Cursory, yeah.
I was super nervous when I saw the police.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really happy we were able to find these smaller conditions. I think that I'll just start by saying that climate commission seems to be like a really good starting place, and it's nice and narrow. I don't think our bylaws need to be so extravagant as the police.
Yeah.
Review.
States are.
Yeah, so the reason why I printed out the three that I did was because I think that the responsibilities of the, like, police community, the community police review board and the board of zoning appeals, have like, they just have far more under their responsibilities. So that's why they warrant 116 pages. You know, like, the community police review board has subpoena powers, you know? Flags pass, we're not saying this. We could look at another local law team. But yeah, so I think that these are decent frameworks to start with. I think that one thing that might be best for us to start off with is defining the roles of leadership positions. As you know, the name, address, or, you know, we have those. Mission statements can be, like, derived from the, like, chartering legislation, but that's not something that we kind of specify. Yeah, I don't want to necessarily dominate the quiz, because I think that you all were appointed for your vast qualifications. Does anybody want to choose a place to get started? I'll do my best to take notes on what you're discussing, so that way I can tie it together into go on.
I think, please don't take this as me wanting to be a leader, but I think we should define what the leadership positions are and who will be embodying those. And from there, we move forward.
So, sounds good. I mean, just going through the three of these, it's like the three major things: membership, who's going to lead the thing, how do you go about stuff, and then the mission, and how do you eventually accomplish it, right? So, bang up that checklist and.
Yeah.
So looking at the leadership roles, do we all kind of concur that you want to have just a chair, vice chair, and secretary? Do you think that a secretary is unnecessary? Are there additional roles you may want to have? Some bodies do like subcommittees where, you know, for, you know, since they've been a topic of conversation, the CPRB, they have a chair, but they also have, you know, a head of the investigations committee. Those are all sorts of things that you can consider as far as the structure that you may want to undertake. So you may want to, you know.
I mean, I think we have one task.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't know if we need subcommittees.
I agree. Possibly, it wouldn't hurt to have somebody doing outreach if somebody's better at the art, perhaps. That can also fall under the purview of chair or vice chair. That's an area of expertise. Possibly, liaising with the IT people might be a big enough role, because by having it be a position, but. I don't know. I think that might be an impressive bridge to get with.
And the only thing I can see is when we get down to covering the side on the flag or signs or anything like that, it's all outreach. And is there any events to schedule that kind of person, if somebody wanted to, like, we need to do a display 4 or 5 times, however many times we're gonna have, in a room, and let the public know before ultimately deciding or anything like that, or if we are just gonna be like, hey, no, we got to work on this one, we're good, you know? But that, just hypothetical, if somebody wanted to be that organizer, but ultimately, I think it's probably chair, vice chair, either way, so.
I think that there's so many great ideas happening here. Maybe we want to start with defining what a chair is, and then that will allow us, like, your view of what that leadership would look like for this body would help us better understand if that person would have the capacity to do
Sure.
all of this public relations stuff. Does anybody want to spitball ideas regarding your expectations of the chair?
Developing agenda, meeting agendas, running meetings, and,
Yeah. Duties of the chair, I was thinking,
Yeah.
preside over meetings of the commission, shall appoint oral meetings that are approved by the commission, serve as chair, executive committee. So we're not gonna have the committees, you know, this one's like right, presiding over and setting the agenda. Vice chair, assistant chair of the execution of the commission's objectives. And running the meeting, you know, there's not there, is really the two main goals, and the secretary needs to take the minutes.
Yeah.
Also, before the meeting, that sounds good.
Commission of upcoming events and assignments. So maybe that person takes more of the lead of emailing the, so the chair of the secretary does the email, vice versa.
Excellent. And so if those are the parameters of each role, do you think that you want to have a separate person doing public relations sorts of stuff? Would you want to assign that to like the chair, the secretary? How would you want to consider doing that?
I'll just say for the chair for now, and then we figure out each other.
Yeah.
Further down.
Especially with the chair, most of the chair's duties are meeting specific. It's not gonna be too big of a time. Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. I think that that's a really good start. So in that vein, you know, Ben made a great list for us to find leadership membership. We want to move to the partnership, mission statements. How would you guys want to do this?
We have to define membership, and it's an easy one to define too, and bang that right out.
Yeah.
We kind of copy and paste from some of this, and
Yeah.
it's decided by the council. If we want to add somebody, X, Y, Z could happen, I guess. All on the same page, you want to get to the juicy stuff.
Alright, so let's get into it. So mission statements.
Actually, before we jump there, do we want to just pull the like attendance policy
Yeah.
from here? Just cross that off the list, just some. The sustainability one kind of makes sense. It's 2 consecutive meetings, unexcused.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, what do we define as an unexcused versus an excused? That's probably up in the chair. But it's, yeah, just some form of accountability for attendance, I think is useful.
the PEG board, bylaws mention or define specifically what excused is, and it's calling the chairman prior to 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting to be an excused absence, but I mean, I don't know, excused versus unexcused.
Yeah.
I think the point being that we want people to participate.
Right.
Yeah.
Shows the meetings or participating because we
Right,
animate that.
right.
Understandable. So you're interested, just to make sure that I'm copying what you're looking at down right. So you're interested in emulating the Sustainability Commission's attendance policy, but you want to use the definition PEG has for attendance. At the board, it's not so much about, you know, the definition of excused versus unexcused. It's about communicating attendance.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it even matters if it's excused or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to,
Yeah. Let us know anytime.
yeah,
Yeah, we need to know.
One thing that I'm just going to need to review before I, drop this out to you is that, in one of the pieces of legislation that I included in your, onboarding packets discussed, it was, the shortest chapter ever, it was public officers, and it basically said, if you want to remove somebody, it would go to the parent. I think that the way that would be able to remove a member on your own. I think that's not so. But you would have to make a recommendation to the council who would then proceed with removing them. Just for.
Yeah.
Isn't that after you nominate them as back, to the council?
Yeah.
just suffer through.
Yeah.
We're all on notice. Quorum's already defined, right? Because I
Yes.
think that's something that could be part of our membership bylaws, but it's sort of. Something
I think so. So it's 4 or 7.
So we have 6. The one member that hasn't attended yet is, her name is Jennifer Richardson. She wasn't part of the, original group of interviews, so I don't think you guys have met her yet. She has been involved with, boards and commissions before. She's just an attorney, and I think she's busy right now. I tried reaching out to her today, and she was able to respond. I will try again, to get yeah, so. Any other considerations under membership?
Participation, I mean, yeah.
Oh.
I can see so. Simple,
Yeah, mission is next, was that right?
Yes.
Okay, so we kind of wrote one already.
Yeah, I printed out only 3 copies because, this was the packet that I gave to everybody to Kim. If you want to refer to this, it has the original legislation in it.
Not at all.
I think it's, yeah. I just, sorry, it was 116 pages.
I mean, the sustainability one is just says, will seek to fulfill the purpose and goal established through the legislation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, the second sentence of this first page really says it all too.
I think some of the language in the general purpose, something nice like that. This provides the people enough. Yeah, I think it's.
Is there anything else that you may think of that you want to include? Things that may not have been explicitly stated in the charter, resolution?
I think the last time it was mentioned that people from outside the city can submit designs. This kind of seems to not really.
So I think that when we brought that up, the context of that was we were trying to think about how we would do levy voting. And we weren't sure how to limit the people who could participate. I might be there. So I think that we can like better reflect in the mission statement that that's like an expectation that it's only City of Albany folks participating. Because you're right, people outside of the city shouldn't be voting.
They should be voting, but I think we want them to be able to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
right.
think that was one of the
Right.
consensus,
Okay.
was to make the pool a lot
Bigger.
larger. And because I really think that people are gonna submit designs who are well-known graphic artists from the city. Like, would be very interested in having their, flag design becoming, a municipal flag, so. And I think that that's the mission, is to get the best design possible, and really not limit ourselves to just the city. But the voting is for residents.
Yeah.
I think that's a question for the IT person.
Yeah.
Like figuring out how to, make sure it's just city residents.
I have done, some of the, like, surveys for neighborhoods and we put in all their information, make sure that your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Stuff, so I think maybe something like that.
With that, if we make it too difficult for people that are not gonna get any votes anyways, so trying to balance.
Make sure local industry is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost failed,
I also think, we should say that the news, I think is gonna be very interested in the story and promoting it for us in such a way, where they're gonna, hey, put your design, submit your design on the day, and then voting as well, so, yeah, the IT part of it, I don't know if you put your address in, that can verify how that actually works.
I mean, anybody can lie and put in any address, there's not really anything to do it. We can have it as the location and use IP address, to find a rough location, it might be good enough, but it's just anybody with a cell phone in the city with us.
Or who's totally far away.
Exactly, so
Yeah, it's tricky.
I don't know if there's a one size fits all for that, but we've got to kind of work through that.
So it seems that you guys hit your 4 major goals for this, bylaw. That's primarily from omnibus. Is there anything that you might want to consider adding into your bylaws that might be different than other commissions? Whether that be details about the contest, maybe in there you might want to spitballing, include your discussion of City of Albany voters versus widespread applications, those sorts of things. That's not something that has to be in your bylaws. Nothing has to be here. But also pre-establishing it, of course, makes it easier to move forwards. But that's okay.
One thing, I think we should have a section on meetings with
Yeah.
the set agenda, and then one of the things that the community police board does well is they set up in section 4 a list of how a meeting should flow, including, so it starts with roll call.
Oh, like boilerplate,
Just a framework.
yeah,
So that if the chair's not here, I would say that would be words to include, so we're not off topic and have something in front of us. This has a, public comment period where it's defined. We might also want to make sure that we limit, not that we want to limit public comment, but the time, amount of time. Because when someone doesn't get their flag picked, I have a feeling they're coming for us. So, we just want to make sure that that may be defined, and when that happens. I know the common council meetings, sometimes they put it at the beginning, sometimes at the end, right?
So,
So that way the discussion isn't, completely unavailable.
yeah, that's an important point. I can give context to how the common council does it. So part of it is governed in rules and procedures. That is not like a law or ordinance, but it is passed by resolution to confirm that, like,
Oh,
the
it's stretching it, sorry.
It's passed by resolution, and basically it's up to the chair to decide. So the chair is able to move public comment out of order. It is supposed to be, we have a similar framework, right, where we have roll call, pledge of allegiance, and public comment. The chair can opt to move it to anywhere else in the agenda, should they choose. And then also, there's time limits, like, in the rules and procedures, I believe, so I think that it's like typically a 5-minute public comment, and they're able to, like, shorten it to up to 3 minutes.
That was really.
Yeah.
That sounds about right for this, because you can't get 20 across in 3 to 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah,
like an actual hour, like how they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's like,
for the common council, for public comment periods, they, public comment periods for 30 minutes originally, and then it could be motioned to extend.
that sounds
So,
Okay.
what I can do is pull from what the council does, initially, and see how that, you know, shapes out for us.
Section 6 of this is the rating. Has a similar.
About public comment.
Yeah. You want to just
Same with the agenda part, about it, I think we should keep that, include that, you distributed no later than 7 days prior to the meeting.
So if the chair is crafting the agenda, and then are you gonna say that it's on the chair to distribute the agenda as well, like we can advance?
I would argue that the secretary's job.
But is it,
Well, I guess it depends how it's distributed. If it's
Exactly.
emailing it to you or.
Yeah, so, sorry.
No.
Just to explain my responsibilities here, so, to adhere to open meetings law for City of Albany and the state, I would need it 7 days before, so I can send it out to the public. And you can transmit it electronically as well as like post it on like our centralized platform, Agenda Center. So it may be up to you. You may feel that the chair just has to email it directly to me and everybody can, you know, check Agenda Center or, you know, I can add your emails to our general listserv. That is a lot of emails. Or you may have like a 2-pronged, like the chair is responsible for sending it to me, the secretary is responsible for communicating it with you. That's, somebody doesn't give it to me. Everything else is up to how you guys.
you're gonna say email, probably gonna say committee. I'm okay with you guys on the email all the information.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty public person.
To me, it makes sense if the chair is crafting it, the chair should distribute it.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
Just, anytime you want.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Middle range.
So like charity craft and send out agenda, right?
I could open up the secretary to doing the PR piece in addition to the mental. Why not?
What's everybody else think?
As long as it's not me. Social media.
I'm not social media or note taking. My ADD is just not compatible. I need the notes afterwards, but.
I'm usually my public relations, that's what I do for a living for Stone, so. If you want to slide me into some more, responsibilities.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you're interested in doing secretary?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, cool. Right now, just not to break up the conversation, but on the topic of leadership, we only have one person who shared that they're interested in chair or vice chair, Janie. If anybody's interested in either of those roles, please let me know if we have more than one person interested.
I thought I did email you about vice chair.
Did you?
I may have forgotten. It's,
I
I
missed it.
intended to.
But- That's wonderful. Okay, well, we can do, maybe something that you might want to put in your bylaws is like confirmation of leadership. Do you feel, yeah, voting?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you don't, definitely not. I think that, there may want to be some sort of motion or expectation.
Chair appointed by quorum for about 7 people.
Yeah,
That sounds like my secretary.
yeah, so it's,
Other than just like vaguely the emergency for the chair, is there anything else explicitly we'd like to ask, like the vice chairs here? Because so far we've semi-defined what they would do, what the secretary would do, and also, eventually it's a significant role. But other than just, being redundancy chair, we kind of have somewhat vice chair.
I think that's a great point, and maybe liaison to the private people.
Especially if you're part of
Sure. Vice chair, I think that role is gonna be such a huge part of this, so, just putting it, memorializing it in a role. Sure. Without needing a subcommittee.
and to make sure that I'm, kind of embodying this right. So the chair seems to be the person who would be liaison to like city employees, like me, other council staff, council members. The vice chair would kind of liaise with IT, tech side, and then the secretary is going to be more of a public facing, not public facing, but more focused on PR.
I think it splits up everything equally, and it gives a weight. I just want to look back for the meetings I had looked at for the agenda that's kind of set into the bylaws. Call to order, roll call, acceptance of the last meeting's minutes, public comment, 30 minutes, and that other section describes that below the most. And any communications that we receive from the city council, city officials, if they were to select memorandum, old business, new business, and then adjourn. Is that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
This one didn't really needs, but I wouldn't mind having something about how we want to try to limit the use of AI submissions.
Yeah, and I think that'll probably determine our contest
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know that it needs to be in the agenda template, but an executive session is probably going to be needed at some point.
Yes. It's up to all of you when I'm typing this out, if you would like to have a specific portion. Well, actually, I could stand corrected. I think that you can't really pre-schedule an executive session because of the expectations
Yeah.
of meetings law, but you actually might know more about that than I do.
But, if we added it into the bylaws, I believe.
Like just a procedure for something.
Yeah.
It would be inserted right after before adjournment.
Yeah.
Meetings, and then you gotta go into exec.
Yes.
And adjourn. Because they're not here for the adjournment, so that's the only thing that we could do,
The city school board goes into executive session every time they meet, so, but they are not Well, they are, I don't know, like, it's city, they are a city.
So they're not under the same umbrella.
Right.
Basically. School boards are governed by their own law list of.
So, right, it's not, they're not, applicable, it's not the same.
So the police board has it with special and or emergency meetings as a separate. And it is the second class item, and they have it written as call of executive session before. So I think we could just insert that into.
Yeah. Yeah, because most of the time we won't need it, it's if we're discussing specific submissions or whatever.
Also, they have it here, and then might be edited, says such order may be vary at the discretion of the board chair. That might be important if we have a city official coming to speak to us, and then public comment is, we want to be able to move around. I think we should include that clause.
Give us something to-
Yeah.
That's right, it's for you being an attorney and me not being an attorney. I figured, oh, if we don't follow, well, we just agree to agree, we just go and say different.
Only in trouble when you need.
Mention this, we talked about Philip, and getting all that out of the way. Set something before we move on.
From what I have, it feels pretty comprehensive. It feels like it will be a similar length to like the peg boards. And what I can do, with your permission is maybe put in a short section about like amending or adding to your bylaws if something comes up. I think that the process that we'll be able to implement moving forward with this is I will get back to you with kind of a draft based off of the things that you all brought up tonight. We can provide feedback to me via email. If there's anything that I might have missed or misunderstood, we can maybe bring it back up at the January meeting. And with a fully written framework, it would be a matter of like amending it on the spot. And then after you adopt it, then I guess we can majority vote.
Yeah, with that said, section 79. Ordinance to be added from the, making how a motion made, the quorum and then voting source, the majority voting members present, not a full majority because it might be sometimes part of the.
So it's not a lot.
Yeah, 79 of the use part. And then I think the article, was 6 of how the meetings laws, you just need to embody into our bylaws.
With the section on reporting and
Yeah. We're,
not annual, but I think we should produce a report again, to be transparent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solicitation.
So question with section 8 for quorum, so it says an absent quorum, we can't take any action besides recessing or adjourning. Is that a open meeting thing, like we can't even just have a small discussion without voting? Or just absolutely nothing can be done?
I'm under the impression that you can discuss whole business.
Okay.
So anything that had been brought up prior, you can discuss, and the public can come in and give comment, but you just can't bring it up.
Sure. It just seems like if we get late notice that we're not gonna get a quorum, and people are already here, it's just kind of,
Massive blizzard, you can show up.
Yeah.
so at least we can get something done. Yeah. Even if it's just a little bit. Yeah.
Is this your idea for the, with the amendments for the month?
Yeah.
This is like strict, you can't amend the bylaws unless they're proposed amendments later in the set. This week earlier than 7 days prior to the meeting. So,
Well, that would just be a, like, part of the agenda.
Agenda before. the-
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
We're gonna put amendments in the agenda.
Yeah.
So how would that work? Would we, like, somebody propose, like, an amendment prior, then chair sets it on the minutes, as long as it's like seconded, by, like, at least one other person?
Yeah, we want to do that by email, or we have it in the meeting and then have it on
I
next.
think we have to write that in. I think we could go either way.
Yeah, so, the council, when somebody wants to propose an amendment, they can do it on the floor. So like while it's being discussed, they can propose an amendment, and then as long as it's like, seconded by the right people, it can move forward. Or, people can, like, communicate via email prior, and if you do it with the chair not the chair, the sponsor of the legislation, and they agree to make that amendment, that doesn't necessarily have to go for a vote. So I think that the way that, like Liz said, it's up to you, how you want to go about it. If you want to open yourself up to just doing it via email and then bringing it here for a group discussion, like acceptable.
Being able to say, hey, I think I was gonna think that waiting 7 days, it might be here too much, yeah. I think we can talk in new business and we decide, yeah.
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 Yes, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, just.
So just to make sure that I have your point, so do you believe that, it should be like included 7 days before, and you said voted on unanimously the day of? Or,
Just that if it passes the vote, they are, majority fine, yeah, majority.
I think the idea is being, if I have it right, the idea to change the bylaws would be on the agenda, but the actual amendments would be able to come up in the discussion, and we can make a motion and change them. Like a majority vote. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So with that, we could, sorry, one of us says, hey, I think we should add this to the bylaw. They tell the chair puts it in an email to the group.
7 days.
Not even well before that, and then asks anybody for comments within the group. Chair receives the comments, updates it, puts it on the agenda, and then vote on it.
Other than the comments, I think that's the open meeting law.
Okay,
So that's, the idea is that we're not having it without. But so, that being said, I'm open step, we're putting the business on the agenda, get to this table, come at time and vote on it.
okay, yes,
Yeah.
sounds good.
is there any other ideas that we want to float about including in the bylaws? These aren't solid yet, so, this is the time to chat out.
I think that's discussed other than copying the law as a condition, is there anything specific you want to follow the outcome of what Lauren said, or anything like that? Like, you mentioned AI potentially,
Yeah.
and I think that's just keep on what it is looking for. Yeah, I think it's definitely a thing. Opening it up to anybody. It's a great design. Any stipulations of, doesn't have to be perfectly rectangular. Just say, to me, I'm like, less is more with limiting people, like, creative, it's also. But
But is the mission the place we want to do that, or is that going to find the guidelines? Or is there a lines between those two?
I would say the mission is more of a general statement of why we're here. Yeah. And it can maybe include some mention of we're going to come up with a contest to facilitate this, and then contest details are really flush out the specific.
Yeah.
Get into the contest details, I don't know if it needs to be.
Yeah.
So would you want the limitation of AI usage in the mission statement or only in the content? Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to put it in there without it sounding stupid.
I can't tell if it's pixel or non-pixel, like, I don't know. You can create an awesome AI, do 2 tweets with it, is that something human, right?
Sure.
And so,
Maybe there's like space for, and the sense I'm getting here is that like you want your bylaws to be pretty separate from your context guidelines.
So,
Yeah, so maybe within your context guidelines, which is something that we can maybe start considering at our next meeting. We can like think about an AI policy and what constitutes, excessive use or
yeah,
acceptable use.
maybe do a little research on where we might find something that kind of we're far away from here, like what is out there in the world that we can use as his guidance.
I think that I may be able to flex that for you.
Wow.
I know off the top of my head that Syracuse had a really excellent flags competition, maybe a couple of years ago. I've never been to Syracuse. Well, I hadn't been to Syracuse prior to the flags competition, but it was so well done that it ended up on my social media feeds. So maybe they're a great place to start.
You are the flag guy, right? Like, there have been other contests?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
maybe 2023, that's what they came up with.
Right.
I mean, that causes people being nice in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but if you want to look at their website or social media, for information, they did a lot of great work. At least for the public outreach, I was deeply like invested.
Really trying symbol for Central New York. I mean, yeah, exactly. Interesting. Someone who's like, hey, scribbling down 25.
Yeah.
I can't get the paper on the right side of the flag, and that's what it breaks the whole line every time. But I just hey, back to you.
Yeah, so I'll contest guidelines that I can find online. And if anybody finds materials that they want to be brought to the group, please feel free to just send them to me. I will print out and include whatever you need. That's, the main point of me being here.
Great. But back to the mission, so.
Yeah.
I do think that second sentence here, where does it start? The purpose of the task force on the municipal flag is to oversee the creation of a new municipal flag that propels the city's modern identity, culture, and people.
And one thing I like about that, where the AI portion that is, that's a very positive statement. This is immediately restricting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. This is our goal. We're striving for this.
Mhm. And that's not to say we couldn't add to that or tweak it in some way, but identity, culture, and people is really great.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're not parenthetical in the mission statement or not, but also referred to as the flag task force for commission on municipal. It's a little.
Here and refer to as here and after, sorry.
Before oversee the creation of the municipal flag is broad enough so that we don't necessarily have to spell out that we're going to have a contest or determine what the rubric for it is. Probably is all.
Yeah, I think it's looking great.
I think we're looking at all certifications.
We are on this document, just on this next page, on page 2. Look at that, there you go. Modern identity, culture, and people.
Current identity.
But what about history, I think, is what I'm thinking of.
I think I can speak to the intent of that, because some of the outdated or racist imagery used, I think that's where the idea of modern identity came from.
Not just colonizers.
Yeah.
But I think that if that's something that you want to rephrase to better reflect like a historical like heritage, that's definitely a space that you can explore.
Or geographical, or, I'm not sure how many adjectives we want to include here.
Yeah.
No, I like
What if we
the,
just say the city, culture, and people? What if we get rid of modern identity? We look.
There might be something that makes it a little bit more identifiable. All the managers that come, yeah. The other day, one of my states that actually makes great for interstate, like it's California, Arizona, Washington, New York, Texas. Maybe that is special. So,
The adjectives that you choose to include in the mission statement, and then also likely in your contest outline, I think is going to be directly reflective of what you'll be seeking from the flags.
Yeah.
So if you choose to, remove modern or, and focus on the historical identity, that can look totally different.
Right. Sensibilities, would that be a better word? The city sensibilities?
Instead of identity?
Yeah.
What about just diversity? Just put
Yeah.
diversity, right?
yeah,
And we'll just take it right.
yeah,
That's what we're changing.
right,
Yeah.
right,
I don't know, just my thought.
yeah. City's diversity, culture, and people. The city's diverse identity, culture, and people.
Diverse identity.
Diverse identities, probably, cultures, and people.
We have some sort of history mentioned, but I don't.
It's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm going on this more free.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to focus into.
My historic ideas just deal with animals and plants and like for other reasons than that for us.
Design it, whether it could be historical design, probably first. Yeah, you could have an amazing historical design, but you have to have both the design on the whole thing, or mentioning something specific from the 1600s. So that's what I think.
Do we need any other sentences in this mission? I think the simpler we make it, the easier.
Yes. Yeah, we can be specific in the guidelines, but we need to give ourselves room to work for that.
Is there anything really specific that absolutely don't go on in a design? Like obviously, removing the column or background, but like, do we just want to explicitly say that? Got anything else? If there's anything that's an absolute non-starter.
That does feel like probably like a guidance for contest rather than the interesting thing, but like,
Okay. Leave it.
Yeah.
I just want to get some political football that we're not even. And, you know, certainly changing this, and I think with the word diversity is showing both the council and the public where we're heading in the right direction.
also it's gonna get a little 5, right, anyway, so like, there's gonna be a lot of bad submissions, like, you know, we will be able to curtail like that from like the public view and.
What do you think?
Exactly.
One thing you were talking about earlier, I just wanted to review was, I was under the impression that it kind of had to be a 2x3 or 3x5 normal flag size.
I think that's standard.
That's standard.
Yeah.
There's lots of different,
Switzerland's is where
Nepal,
Nepal's got rules, but
even rectangular flags are different
aspects of it.
Yeah. So I don't know if we need to necessarily limit ourselves to that. There might be cost implications.
Yeah, just as like, if you have a standard 3x5, that's what you.
I think that's something we should try to find before we develop the guidelines, because
Yeah, I'm really curious how this on Syracuse's homework.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of those guidelines were great.
Somebody makes an impressive flag in shape of a peak.
Yeah.
We have beavers here.
Yeah.
And what?
Or 77. I'll see the 7 designs in my brain too. Love it.
Would it be possible to speak with somebody with the council who would be like doing the RFP whenever this ends up being committed with? Find out what kind of means available in the future. That I understand the county council has that authority to produce the flags, but that might help us figure out maybe some pricing, you know, about what it costs. A 100, just ballpark, 100 2x3 flags versus 100 square flags.
Yeah.
Just to see if we're even able to accept a square design triangular.
I think that's.
So what I can do is I can invite, our lawyer, Bobby, who would likely be the person who's drafting the RFP. I think that as far as money available, that would have to be something that is, if the council themselves are producing it, then it's going to need to be, like a budgetary ask. That was not something that was allocated for this year. I think that the mayor's office has a lot more flexibility as far as like pulling money for that goes. So I think maybe we can start with Bobby, talk about what the RFP would look like, and then internally, Bobby and I would like go to like the treasurer's office and talk about that.
Would it be easier to just reach out to a vendor and say, can you just give us a ballpark on this size, this shape, and just, is there any differentiation instead of having to go through Bobby or anybody else to say, hey, this is still a very proof of concept. Can we just say, is there a cost difference between producing different shape flags?
Yeah, totally. I think that, you know, if you want ballpark estimates of cost, I can go through records. If you want to know more about how the city processes will go about producing flags, I would go through like a lawyer and treasurer's
I
office.
guess for purposes, it's more, since we're not the ones that are going to actually introduce it, I think it would be better for us to know if there's a cost difference or not. And then if it's drastic enough to
Right.
justify maybe escalating it to the lobby or anybody to know, is it worth us even giving people the option of doing something outrageous, or would it just be in the city's best interest to have that?
Yeah, and because I think we don't want to do all this work and then it to die and the flag never be produced.
Can you find out maybe what vendor produces the current city flag? So that way, what you're saying is we can just go online and look it up, but they can't buy it because there's a.
It's fine. It's still a field or no.
It's really expensive. Just from history, my dad was the mayor of Kingston, and built, redesigned the flag a little bit. When I was there was no commission, and they were really expensive, like $150 a flag there. Because it has this seal, and this, it has there's a lot going on. So with that said, I was just kind of curious, how much the cost difference is, and perhaps just identifying the race now, they will probably be the ones in the future because they have already gone through the process of the city. Yeah, we can't just buy it.
No, for sure.
When we're talking about, contacting these vendors and getting an idea, are we talking about wanting to get an idea of what the theoretical design would look like on it? Okay.
No, it's, you're asking for different shapes versus standard.
Okay.
Number of colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
And even the manufacturer's production.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna bring up the color thing too, because I do notice, obviously at Albany, everything's orange, blue, and white. So if we go in a different direction color-wise, the flag, is that gonna affect anything else?
Or you can have super detailed design on
Right?
Yeah. Which is how to start.
it. Yeah. Right, Crystal color. Yeah. Just saying.
I wouldn't want to discourage you or encourage you either way. I do know that it was fairly recent that the city adopted its new kind of
Yeah.
branding guidelines.
Yeah.
And those branding guidelines do have specific shades of blue and orange. That could be a consideration. Does our flag necessarily have to perfectly match, the
Letterhead of, yeah.
the bear? Maybe not. That's really up to your discretion.
Yeah.
I just don't think that the flag will change the way that the city has been branding.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
It is a consideration.
Bottom line, getting to a vendor, asking if there's any limiting production factor that you consider in cost. And then just bring it back to this committee so that we can use that to determine the contest today.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking maybe that Syracuse, they recently gave a bunch of flags, how much did it cost?
Yeah.
Three shapes, various shapes.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think that we're having a really great conversation here, but I do want to be mindful of everybody's time. We're at 6:38. Is there anything that I can get you just to round out for our next meeting? If we're going to be discussing a little bit more about the contest guidelines and, hopefully have somebody come over from IT, to talk about website, public relations, that sort of thing. Is there anything else that I might be able to flag for you to make that conversation more productive?
Those are two huge things, it'll take easily an hour of time, so.
Yeah. I think you have a good list.
Yeah, thanks.
I can't think of anything else.
Wonderful. So moving forwards, I'm going to, either I or Carly are going to produce minutes for this meeting. This is going to be on our YouTube, which will also be down below that. And I will try to get back to you as soon as possible with like new applicants. I'll also reach out to those of you who indicated interest in leadership, just to confirm, and I'll throw out another call for anybody who might be interested in case we have to organize some sort of.
But, with regards to like roles and things, perhaps maybe even just have some kind of formal expectation of non-leadership members.
Okay, yeah.
Good idea, yeah.
Beyond.
I don't intend on doing any leadership stuff, it's like my first variety of those kind of things. But I definitely like to, help and all that kind of stuff. Expectations are other things.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Okay. Is there anything else that we might want to touch on, assigned to me, before we close out?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. You all, our next meeting's on the 16th, or
I think we discussed the second Monday.
well, that's
Yes.
I will not make it.
right here.
I am.
Enjoy.
So, I'm gonna make sure, so also 5:30 then.
Yes. Yeah, if we generally all feel like that would, the second Monday of every month at 5:30 works, I can pre-schedule our meetings throughout the next year, and then you can just add in frequency or cancel. Just like, great, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
There, specifically, want us to like, can we take it?
It's done.
We're all motivated, so.
But I'll see you next time.
Yeah, yeah, she's great. She's great. She mentioned that something like that. No, she's been so,
She's, I guess your tenure is almost.
yeah, she's done 10 because, one of our,
Lucas, who was my lieutenant.
oh, really?
Yeah, and also,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Duncan, yeah. Like,
Nice meeting Alright.
yeah, so,
Jeannie or Jane? Jeannie.
everyone.
Yeah.